Welcome back. So here's a little preview of what we're going to do today. And I decided that if I'm a little long-winded or something similar, you kind of get to see what's going to happen in this video. Lots of hand filing, lots of sanding, a little bit of hammering, and then a lot of bit of hammering. What we're making today is, well, we're not really making. We are altering this hammer to be more useful for jewelry, and unlike the last texture hammer, this one is much more specifically a really cool old hammer whose whole purpose for me was I was going to polish it. I'm going to fix the head wiggle in there, and I'm going to polish the head, the flathead, and the cross-peen, and make it more useful for smoother textures. It's almost a promise that there's going to be a hand file and that there's going to be a lot of it. Luckily, though, this hammer is in really nice condition, and this really just needs to be... I don't want it to have a harsh point on it like it did on the back there. I want it to have a smooth and rounded cross-peen. For me, for making rings, I have this really fun style that I like to do that I may or may not put up an example of, where I cross-peen the sides, and it gives it sort of it gives it more visual texture, and it's fun to look at. It's a literal texture, visual texture, also a touch texture. That's two senses that it is provoking at the same time. Anyway, I sort of switch back and forth between different roughness files because too fine a file, not fast enough; too heavy a file, too many scratches, and I have to go back to finer files anyway. But this entire process probably took around, I think, 2.5 hours total. I cut down 2.5 hours of me dicking around on a bench to, what is this, 18 minutes? That's not too bad. You'll likely watch around 3 to 5 minutes jumping around, and I don't blame you. You have stuff to do today. We all do. But hopefully you get something out of this. And if you alter one of your hammers, let me know. And if you leave a comment, I would love to check out any hammers that anybody just enjoys. I like hammers. They're not my only tool, and it's not the only thing that's going to be on this channel ever again, but I do enjoy them. Now, we get to the shimmy technique, and the shimmy technique I feel might be the most effective sanding technique for anything rounded. I know what you're thinking. That's obvious. Why would you say that out loud? Well, mostly because it's fun to say shimmy, and it's fun to say technique. But after a little shimmy, I realized that I wanted the shape to be a bit more even, and I can do some more shape correction. I kind of want it to have a gentle arc to it, ever so slightly. I don't want it to be just flat across the profile. So if you looked at it top down, there would be a gentle curve to it so that it's only really hitting in one point. But if I overcorrect with my wrist when I'm swinging and I hit with the corner, I don't want the corners to dig in too much either. Some dig because it's a corner, but not a harsh digging. One thing that you don't need to see is 2.5 hours worth of sanding. And we're going to go in Mach speed for a lot of that. The hand filing, I want you to watch more of that because I am a crazy person. But unhammer related, while sanding is going on, the mess on my bench is terrifying. So if you don't like messy benches, that's fine. There is a future where I have a house and I will have a place for everything, and that future could be in about 6 months. I haven't finalized a contract, but I am very close to fleshing out some details with a builder, and I'm going to get a house built. Unless in the next video I'm like, well, that didn't happen. I will have a garage for a bench, for tools, for making a mess, and it's just going to be a good time. I guess I could talk about what's happening, but it seems pretty obvious. I'm using some 3-in-1 oil for lubricant for progressively finer sandpapers. And wow, this is almost terrible to watch. But the texture that's on the hammer, it doesn't matter how smooth it looks or feels. Well, it actually matters exactly how smooth it looks and feels. The smoother it is, the smoother the strike that it'll leave on what you're hitting. And I would like that almost as mirror polished as I can stand to get it on that side. But for the head of the hammer, I have very few fully polished hammer heads. So this one, I decided that it was time. It was time to bite the bullet and make a mirror polished, really pretty striking face for a hammer. And this one was the hammer to do it. I actually got two. I got a hammer head that looks almost exactly like this, and this hammer, and this one had a handle. And I like them very, very much. They are two of my go-to hammers now for some of, if not most of, cross-peening textures. But the first step, you take down the corners. You have to take down the corners, smooth those out. Afterwards, you have to file the top flat-ish. You still want a dome on the top. It doesn't really serve me and my purposes to have a completely flat, or like a truly flat surface on the face of a hammer. Means that anytime there's a cant in your wrist, or if there's a twist, or if it's a Tuesday and you hit wrong and you're sick and tired of just like tripping on cat puke, more or less, you don't want a flat hammerhead. You want a almost flat hammerhead. And you can see that this one has a decent amount of pitting in it from just years and years of abuse, and I'm erasing all of the history that you can find in it. And it goes much faster with hand files from the start than it does with sandpaper from the start. Unless in my future garage, I have a 2x72-inch belt grinder that's been in storage for 3 years, that I could have done this in close to seconds. But power magnification being what it is, that's fine. That's the future, and this is now, and now is the time. I'm going to stop talking like that. I do switch to sandpaper to some extent at this point. I'm pretty close to getting most of those bigger dings out of it. Yeah. And 80 grit sandpaper. 80 grit sandpaper is the go-to. I guess the kids say the goat, but I'm not a kid. Anyway, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm young at heart. The 80 grit sandpaper does a really quick job. I need to put an epilepsy warning on this. This is a bit much. The overall, like, you can see that all the marks on the head are going down by quite a bit, and that is so visually offensive that I might cut most of this. I'm going to do everybody a favor and shut up about what I'm going to do. I'm just going to fix it. But we go through the grits: 80, 120, 220, 320, 400, 500. No, I don't have a 500. 400, 600, 800, 1,000. I think I have 1,200, then 15, then 2,000, then 2,500, and 3,000. I think I make it all the way to 3,000. But yeah, this is almost too much hand sanding. I'm going to go back and edit some more of this, so don't worry too much about this in the edit, Adrian. Just make something that you are visually pleased to look at, and we'll go from there. Cool. Thanks, editor. You're all right. Okay. What's funny is you see these channels, that one channel, this one Japanese guy, he just polishes things, and he's got a little Woody figure, and it's fun, relaxing watching. You don't have the constant rambling of crazy person like talking over what they're doing, but it the polish isn't actually the point of this video, even though it's what I'm doing. My goal is to make this more suitable for jewelry, and honestly, I could have stopped at 1,000 and been fine. I think we're close to, if not at 3,000, and we are okay. But if I went to the crazy extent that that guy did, he has diamond pastes that go up to 100,000 grit, and honestly, I just want to touch something that he's polished. I know that sounds weird, but it would be kind of rad. It's like the difference between knowing something is flat and knowing something is like really flat. Anyway, so now that we have run through all the grits, this hammer is pretty much good to go. You'll see why in a second. Well, the hammer is good to go. We still have to do some work on the handle and the wiggle in there. You'll see how I approach it, and you may disagree. And after watching it back, I think I might disagree. But what's done is done, and I'm glad that I saved the handle for this hammer, because it's got... It's pure, like, it's functional. It doesn't need to be anything more than functional. But yeah, considering how we started, you can see me looking over it in the reflection and backing away slowly. That was neat. Is that a fuzzy? What is that? I think that's a fuzzy. Yeah, one of the things about working with metal filing is the metal filings get absolutely everywhere. And for one reason or another, they're slightly magnetic. But if you're lucky, you don't scrape those on what you just sanded, and it works out real nice. So this is my solution for trying to fix the wiggle and the hammer handle. Some divots. Yeah, okay, I guess. The wiggle's pretty much gone, but that didn't feel permanent enough, or it felt too temporary, and here's a less temporary solution: banging the shit out of the wedge. And that should hold that hammer over for a good long while. Because you've already seen so much hand sanding, it is not my goal to make you watch too much more hand sanding. I just want you to know that I did it. While the handle does have some character, it's really pretty wood, and I wanted to get down to the bare stuff and get some boiled linseed oil on there, just to make it feel a little fresher. Yeah, just like that, we've cut out minutes worth of sanding that you didn't have to live through. Yep, and this time going straight up boiled linseed oil, and I regret nothing. It's beautiful. I've said it many times, this is my favorite part, it will continue to be my favorite part, and I will find any excuse to oil wood. I'm just pausing for the snickering. That's all. But I wasn't going. This isn't a restoration. This isn't Tizzy Tube or Hand Tool Rescue. This is my bench, and I'm having a good time. I didn't forget about the top. Just a little bit. Just the smallest amount. Yeah, okay. You missed a spot. You still missed it. You continue to miss it. There you go. There you go. Now you got it. Just a little bit more. Just a skosh. Cool. And the hammer is done. But you may be asking yourself, why are there still like 4 minutes left in this video? I'll tell you why. I don't know why I'm going game show. Anyway, what I want to do is show you sort of what I'm going to do with a hammer. I'm going to hit things with it. But man, that is a good polish. But I don't have anything obvious to hit. So let's take care of that. Cool, cool. Any day now. It is pretty. Still has character. There we go. So, my goal is to hammer copper, rings, silver. If it's metal, I want to hit it. But I don't really feel like making you suffer through watching all of this in a row. So here, enjoy this nightmarish picture-in-picture of me absolutely, completely messing up constantly in every single possible way until that little rectangle of copper is cut. It's more like a quadrilateral, seeing as how it is absolutely not rectangular. So I'm taking the burr off of the side, created from the cutting. This is good in general if you like to keep your blood inside of you. Generally, I do. If it has to come outside of me, I would like a doctor to do it. As long as it's not in a knife fight, the doctor can do what he has to do. But I do regret not getting a more raking light on this so that you could see more what's happening. There's a better view later, but the hammer feels great, sounds great. I really like it, and it does exactly sort of what I wanted it to do. I didn't have a ring to do this on, but this sort of gave me what I needed to say, yes, this was worth it, and if I needed to make any alterations, now would be the time. Even though I've gone through all that polishing can be done again if necessary. I'm testing the sort of side of the hammer, the corner of the hammer, the corner of the cross-peen, hitting it harder, hitting it softer, anything that would give me a variance in texture. And all of that is detail and texture that can be manipulated with acid or etching or any number of things. I'm very pleased with it. Anyway, thank you very much. The hammer is done, and I will use it for many, many years to come. If you like what you've seen, like, comment, subscribe. Do the thing that you like to do on YouTube. Don't just do what I tell you. And do have a good day. Bye!